Some kasia esi ewo Ghana obia edi ho nkomo ene se yete won yete se yese containers bi ayira numbers no adichin bi yesesa almost over 1003 ECG containers a cables wo mu a yese ni nyina machines gumni ade ayira ye ka container nso a enye kasaketwa ne ye ka ho asemu container eya ade a ubetimi ede eye ka be 3 anase 4 ewuram container hon komo ne no container obetimi de no ma mebre aguma fra buru kiraba container na container maako 1003 ECG ho ne oma egum ayira ewo eye port ho na me kai se me kom yire panyini ho ewo eye habo port ho na de wi omusi check me kura ansa na mawura mu enya asem ketwa na eye den na eye saa ade yi container yi etimi nya ataban na etu ewo wiem na container ne nam wiem se kwa ahomachi o se kwa wiaw ene obi anim ho asem container ye sema enya milk konko mpacho enya milk konko asema ye kan ye container enye se eye milo konko container aitimi dika ewuram ayira ewo eye habo how ede ne balesa na emfonyini nam abonten a etwa gui nam se ade wedi ano woten ebede na timesisa ene ama menye searches na menhwe ne die pan ne kofa ansem bu nyina de bae na me searches mu na mehwehwe me ne oman na me kopiepie videos ahodo mebie so ene nkomo a omudi ede fa sa ansem bu ehu na se no ade omo kan di ano woten na edi asemwa won say dum so ekoso wo Ghana wenye dum siesiu weye dum so edum na so edikania na edum na so no eno ehu materials ene yakofa abasenke betima aboa ama kania na timagina so na anye dum so na emom betima aye na egina so saa no eno ana sese ya make sei dum so ya wo hwe wo screen so isi ya na ekwo Ghana o tuntunta me pacho se light dundum se ya agent min to kantamanto se light edundum se ya me pacho agent min to adum se light edundum se ya agent min to obi fia na se ya na eyewu dumso sa ana manfo etwa ede to abonten na ya hwehwe mu no na container etimanya taban na etu no afri habo ho no according to news we kire se ye papa ginapo ene oba abonten ene oba kirikire mu ene o kire mu container na yesi na container na yesi na ko yesi na we ko fa we ba na we ko yesi enkomo mebiri na akoso yentie Ghana fo no bi omuri ayenwom omoto dumso omuri ayenwom a omoto e wo Ghana enya asem ketwa
the real definition of dumso we need the real definition of dumso no so na dume eduwa na say Rade boy you Ghana separate kai sana dumana say Rade Bosume baku separate dumsa
etiabusiafo ne se yawo ene okopie mu wo Ghana sakrpa dumso na ye amudi ayenwom omoto a chese ekoso enya asem ketwa ema hospitals akese ewo eye Ghana kura no se ya ye kase ye ora mo hade
Ma, this is Kolebu Teaching Hospital and it's darkness everywhere. This is the main maternity. Imagine if a surgery is going on now. Can you imagine? The whole place is dark and strangely the plants are not working. This is the maternity, the main maternity block of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which has been hit by Mahama's Dunso. Can you imagine? Oh, Mahama, this is Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
What you say? As you say, I say Kolebu Teaching Hospital, who you dum containers a nke betimi ede akofa nkanea ede aba ani material se de bia kanea begina so no containers yi ene nam wiemu ye de ataban ahye container no nkyɛnkyɛn ina etuo mako 1003 ekokora ano odin iti Ghana for dwene ho mo ntia se ace na se na de yakɔ de ene na ano odin enkɔfo tama mahama aba mu di hu nkomo mahama ba adum so beba ampa adum so aba medwene ho amentia se ema airport o minipa bi akodu airport o mu gina ho mo twon bag o ma se fon chaprr sakr fon na enu so adum azi ya ye kase o mu so adum o mu gina ho machine ntimi nye afina o ye be so plant ama o mu a ehu nyina enam se na de ade anu aye din o ene na anu aye din ye dum hospital ni edum airport ni je ba bi edum a enya asem ketwa o de munti ebusiafo enye izo ye dum ba bia ye dum hospital ye dum airport ye ba bia ye dum na machines o mbetimi dia so ade ya no yi ama tanto to we nyina to atwa na nke etimenya light am na gina so yi ana machines sese ye kase onu so atu na muwiem mako 1003 plus enu so na muwiem eko se hwan le dia taban ne ma no se hwan le man tu ye obi anim ho asem minister energy minister ewa abonten a wono wo confirm na papa na asem wo kam yam hyeme me say Jesus Christ asem wo kan e dangerous o say containers 1300 den plus ayera na watima ya ho press conference nsa aka me kwanka meka manu atum ka me dimi nka ho asem kra 1003 plus container efa he eno no obi na tamli bo na chitu ekoi menti asem na se ede na timi yira bacho meta meti ase mo amoye container aduma amo abulu kiri mo mfa mo nkire mo na mo nim animde ho container ye de na timi eyira ya na ye sen mako ta entre na yira ye no ho asem te sen papa ba abonten obe start no gina po oba abonten be chichi mu kire Ghana fo na akofa nsem wo nyina de abalo obi a wonim figure okobko tu sa yeden se wonim se ade na wo ka ho asem no wo ye 100% say chale ade ni senate a ukodi hu nkomo ayede tie nkomo obedi ye ti.
No, these are not empty containers. Yesterday when we visited the port, these are containers loaded with materials, cables and other accessories. ECG has not been able to clear those containers, and so as we speak we have 2,500 containers stuck there and stranded, and as they stay there it attracts a lot of penalties and demurrage. And yesterday the briefing I got is that so far the demurrage alone is estimated at 1.5 billion. This is unacceptable. 1.5 billion cedis. This is unacceptable. The first question is that what led to this untenable situation? Why would ECG adopt that bundle?
What you say? Container no ba bontin be catch the Ghana for say 2,500 containers. Wodo okohunu isi ho. One be kan you. Tie komo na ye Captain Smart ne Kevin Taylor ma ba bontin a omo say ade na MPP for na bisa say enti nipa adwene na ho asem te sen. Adwene e de nipa bi emutiri mu no. Enti mu ntimi enye research kura no a. Enti mu nko Facebook keke na mu type. Say Ghana ECG keke na emma mu information keke. Na nipa timi tena se ehye wontro no mo san age adi papa ya wo ka sei enyem na me ye ni minister o menim ni ba bia menim aso ye minister na me hu so o ye Ghana for ye minister na menim ni ba bia ono na e kana asem sei ono ba ye no 2,500 containers ena na nani etua ono na e kan 2,500 containers na nani tua according to papa yi now okopie mu e wo parliament okoka asem foforo e wona mbuza se na wonni asem bi ho ejina ya o ka ho asem yeden yedin aya aminim ho hwe wa ba bonti se 2005 ene wo pai e wo e fe ne sen habo ho ana se port ho 2005 no ma confirm here and you magum say dim esi ho una okan ukojina parliament nso a ti asem okokan parliament.
I visited the Temahabo. Mr. Speaker, we have about 3,000 containers stuck at the Temahabo. 3,000 containers, most of which contains transformers. We took over.
Ti asem ni yo. Ono I visited. Eti Captain Smart no Kevin Taylor mo nkomo mu di no mo minim brofo na brofo kakra bi no simple. I me visited me makoho visited. Wakoho akohunu 2005 no kan no. Eno asisa wo. Se say de ono akoho no wakonya 3,000 and transformers ni machines gum say dim. One be ka che Ghana fu ono na anante akoho akohunu. Ti 2005 na asasa 5 na kwa san be ka ho. Amana ye 3,000 containers on a catch the Ghana for. I visited. Nas will be Babontin be catch it say, I dear way yira last year na MPP for a year. No, we sound say, what is asking me a word ye dino aden? What is asking we are? Ujidi no aden. And Trona na yam with desem wetie and throw some more filikeke. And as I say, Nipa no waka say, ne kan wasi me na mako ho akohunu 3,000 cc ho. Ono na eka na asem eni.
I visited the Temahabo. Mr. Speaker, we have about 3,000 containers stuck at the Temahabo. 3,000 containers, most of which contains transformers. We took over. I visited the Temahabo. Mr. Speaker, we have about 3,000 containers stuck at the Temahabo. 3,000 containers, most of which contains transformers.
What you say? And obeka we to abonten. Say transformers no 3,000 NC ho. Enye 2005 bi mu 3,000 street. Afide wo ho figures bi odi aba abonten so ni. Say containers no na ye 2,491 containers. Am say papa ni figures na no obobo ana say galam say na enkofo ebedi hu nkomo no ma hye da kofa wi aba na. Question me busa em comment ase. Wo se first 2005 afide abe 3,000 ade chin ya obeka asem afide wo se 2,491 containers. It is a figures now obobo no rough sa one e de ma no one e kasa asem na kire no eno aso so no akasa sa wa bra wa parliament o akọ ya capture e parliament o Ghana parliament akọ kasa ansem bu nyina to wo betina abonten afide wo se sei
ECG itself presents as containers held at the port 1,491 containers. ECG itself presents as containers held at the port 1,491 containers. ECG itself presents as containers held at the port 1,491 containers.
Ebusha formatting. Containers no afede ye 2,491 containers obubo figures ni bia no akwakoda o kasana na afede every 2005 every 3,000 afede abedi 2,941 2,941 kwa na aka no
1,328 cannot be accounted for. That is very serious and that's very alarming. And I assure you, we would conduct a detailed investigation into this matter. And somebody or some people will be held liable for this. 1,328 containers cannot just vanish into thin air. 1,328 cannot be accounted for.
It will differ from Bacho Momuncho. First one at the end, 2005. Fatu for comment. Me Bacho Yen ye bekan, Munina Momi Yankan. First time they saying 2005 and oko huye. And oko parliament. And oko parliament no was so wako hubium after the year 3,000 and wako akupizo. Oba bontin a wobeka so say 2,941 and after the ababidru. And the chinya was 1,328 aira. Na question is say asama no wo kan enti ne yema anhye kakra. Say containers 1,328 ajira. Enya say ye nhunu say bi esi habo na bia numbers na sesan ajira. Sa kasa we yetimi kan wo akire Ghana for say ma betena say kan container ajira. Enya ba akupewu 1,328 ajira. papa nsɛm obɛka yɛ akyi nyinaa na nkɔfo atimi atenase asan ahyehyɛ adwuma ɛde abrɛ Ghanafoɔ sɛ Ghanafoɔ mmra metie ampani ampa ne nuane ampa na Ghanafoɔ asan agye ntro asan adi mabusa sɛ aden ana nipa te ate hɔ a ɔso wɔ no ko ade ontimi nyusu wɔ no na dwene mfa ndwene 2 seconds kora da bia yɛn hye ne ntro yɛn twa ne ntro nko a de ka nyina ntro nko a ɛne yɛde hye nipa ne nipa agye di ɔbɛki kan san nsɛm wɔ nyina aboronye ɛna bɛtena na 2 TV ɛna ɔbɛka kyerɛ Ghanafoɔ ade kropɔte a ɛyɛ saa ɛyɛ containers nafa aboronye ne bɛte saa di wi
bia ba 1 saa cable no enoma electricity transmission ne distribution no emani ye easy ema consumption so ye den e reduce ema etua electricity ye den e wo fam nti cables na ba ye bele ema nkania tima ye adwuma yi ema ya transport kania in the easiest way no ya send the meter ba a meters ya European Union na recommend say member state for use some meters no ya send the smart grid machines na do abanya kraba no a machines ya eno na ebe monitor electricity consumption na sana adjust aka kire say fangafo yin electricity minua eniema amabobɔ so nyina na nado danko akofo ado abaya tan Ghana sika ama yakɔtɔ aba no MPP aban na tu aka o ya tua bibia ama cables na beduru meters ye papa ebema because the current meters no say na manfo complain say the consumption is high. And na danko akofo ado akokra smart meters ya consumption so ya obi abetuma to electricity at a cheaper price.
And akosi say sir we container one sem na okay.
Yes, na kadi asem
about 1,300 plus
container. Ni na yesi atu ko bokena.
Container no.
Container na tu ko bokena.
Na container won taban.
You miss out man nora ya handing over the assault mon saw say 1 meters ya yede mam say mon fa magana for na no ne be reduce electricity a efie bia ya yusu na do akrasa meters number uko Germany and no mu yusu uko Netherlands and no mu yusu they pay electricity at affordable price
abusiafo Mummy and Canocre. I dear boha, or be bacano abontico was it tia na yazio. Container timia yera. I was in the panic nayasi quani bit titia nayasi. Edna container say. Etimi etu every baby. Twat I say. Na babe ura a ye adienim any sano man. Edna container timia sa. Edna container etimi yesa. Container etimi yesa. Container tutua yera 1,300 senkrama ai mamefa ohe mana na ajima wo say 1,328 ayera container so etimanya ataban atu enkomo no ne say eye den ne timi free port wo kora eye den ne timi free port wo na kwabanane age adi na Kevin Taylor abetena bonten kan kire Ghana for say sa asem wie na asi na ono ankasa de nani akohu a wo kan ho asem a kire ye no Ghana for atimaji Kevin Taylor asem a wo kan adi say eye MPP for any wi ade no.
Over 1,300 ECG containers missing at Tema Port. And the Abeto Jan say 1,300 ECG containers tele 40 feet tele 1,300 ayera. Excavators 2,500 party his car. Now, do you know what they are doing with this story? The MPP are quick to go to market. Executives nina ashada tuogum. Oh, and this for 1,300 containers are anytime I just said this platform, it's very important you stay here every day because there's nothing here yebeka yemfa ngina so ma. The NPP under Bawumia and Akufo-Addo Sankwasiafo during their tenure in office, ECG problems on Muko Muni Nyinano, Bawumia Akufo-Addo and NPP for it was deliberate. Containers are a carry a ECG equipment are ye de bebo Ghana kanya ho nsemo bra. E de ama ye nkanya nsemo gina na so ama ECG e generating revenue achichere Ghana no. Nana Danko Akufo-Addo ne Bawumia ne NPP nwan we 1,300 containers ni nyina yiraye under their tenure. Kama Akufo-Addo teso ena
ne nipa timaji sa asem wedi minister yin so bai ono ankasa confirm so na ni akwa akohunu sesi ho ade chen ya mama Kevin Taylor etimachi na TV so ashimo montro amama je edi se Kevin Taylor information asem a work nipa oye minister no Bradi Nyankopon a ono no daade na no aba abonten abeka se ono ankasa akoho akohunu say 3,000 afili 2,500 afili 2,400 den afili say na akwayira ono ankasa waba abonten aba abeka no obi atena TV so aka cho say entesa na nado time na yiraye ade su containers kura na abronye so che say afili yakra kura aba bedura eno so omode ba beboa ma dumso na hu ahwan na ye adwuma ena ayira Kevin Taylor kawie na nso hwa o ena Captain Smart nsusom was my catch was a Kevin Taylor and Captain Smart omuntimi nka eye NDC fo asem dan ke bebu omo bruta Ghana o eti the NDC be ye bia na wo so mo bona baso Kevin Taylor wie ya no dan baton no ena de share captain sunsem di onu so
ECG Accra 2,500 containers. Any container Ghana 14 you any container one o any 10 any 100 any 20 any 50 container no any 300 any 500 o containers makum 1,000 1,900 2,000 2,300 2,400 2,500 containers. Yes ni na ira whatever habo ewo we bibini bibini nipa o but with him bibini emre bi abese kolase ho ete sa asem no na me ni evidence. I was just trying to get something. Na me si we me nkoka ojai but na nya me wan so because aban we na excavator it be 2 and before catch Mahama say and confirm it 2 but Akufo-Addo abam na ya first excavators 10 20 100 200 can courtesy Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng
akwa we me so onum unimu red me yeso se Captain Smart onum bi me yeso so onum bi sa nipa we a mudi na chi me okay boys na maso wadin anyway boys na so wadin anyway enukure ba ku mfiri akwa wia no mad entronkoa into one captain oni ayi Kevin Taylor ebese e kire Ghana for say sa eye enioma na ayira wo habo ho no anase port ho no last year na yira ayo MPP fo ne wi aye gina ponso ka se wo so akwa akohunu se esi ho na afere okọ obiem se na enim Captain Smart obi onu utimi soa cement eso le kosi cathedral okọ na tija na afi wabetena bontene wo se di o matem za akwa wi kan asema mudi nachi entronko ha ono Captain Smart ni betini kwa aburu chire kwa jiji nkofu sika so okoto ambulance ni wakwa akudi ono it wake us we expose obi anamutie no eso mbusa se jinkan expose wo ho obi ensuo ato ama ka tai ewo soro na onu mumawura tai na se akwa we kan asema majinadi entronko ontimi nka bia NDC time captain ontimi nye Captain Timin criticize NDC da komba ko bono won studio ho mo ya de open ho asema esi obi aka yese de ya jimifo ye de enim nyansa na de ta wo agu kon ho ana abetena TV so ana wo kan che Ghana fo se asem na esi na obi a wa adwene da ne tirimu a wo dwene ho no wo de wo adwene amana aboro so afi de Kevin Taylor say ade ne yira NDC MPP for time and afi ne Mudiana,
Bagana, the same as I'm saying now, Mitia, not my way, no. Well, you are telling me, sir, me feel back of a matter like a free war. Born over power to bench. That was in containers over 1,300 and something containers. Bakubia was about $500,000. What's the IRF report? What sort of stupidity I can't go in here? I don't get it. Say, what's it? Container. Hey, containers, pot. Ayira.
Obi no beti sa asem yase. Se container esi port etimi atu ayira. Obi no beti sa asem yase. Me pe Ghana ni obeti mate ase keke. Ghana ni obeti mate sa asem yase se container esi port wa. Maako enye se ba pe 1,300 plus. Ghana ni be ne beti mate sa asem yase. Ayira. Enye si yehu se esi ha o ayira yehu ba bi e wo. Se ya ye ka sei omakofa omachi containers na maako 40 jinapona na aba abeka woso wache 40 na 40 no wache ko oma wie 40 no na India ni bi na akodi ni nchen on story o mu create ba e be te say when the MPP fo na wie na omo ko ma India ni bi na wo dem hu the story be kwa akoye enko ba bia.
The minister himself should be investigated.
Oh, send everybody.
Yes, the minister, in fact, the investigation should start from the minister himself. The minister should tell us, do you know who your man confirming say 2,500? Okay.
And if they multiply 1,350.
And then about $600 million.
$75 million. Value of containers are.
Obi.
Obi.
It means name konkoye business as usual.
Yeah, because when they say intimate, and the container they say,
oh,
yeah,
40 foot Obi, see, me ni amrea. Be business as usual.
Oh no,
I'm telling you, Obi. It's obey.
$675 million. Business as usual container.
Obi.
Hey.
And you see,
40 foot container.
And make him send me my credit pay. You see, and make him say, the best minister.
No, that cannot be.
It's not make it say, you see, a tuno. Because we support us what you anymore tema a habada. Process we will go through. And son where you near my idea piano. And your process get to us be catch a container. Say employ empty container crana. And ya the kit wo. So be rat ma habo. No wa ma container so dey pie. Na even catch have inside.
I am happy say Minister Akase criminal investigations would.
The minister himself should be investigated.
Oh, send everybody.
Yes. The minister, in fact, the investigation should start from the minister himself. And Shedanyamadi here can say done on the floor of Parliament.
On the floor of Parliament.
Where Hansard has been captured.
Yes.
You captured Hansard, Mr. Minister confirmed, say you have about 2,500 containers a year electricity company of Ghana for Edia.
Sure.
And also could be worth say $500,000.
And container between 3,000
to 500,000.
500,000.
So on average you can have about $400,000 for each
pick the upper ceiling because
okay.
It depending on
your
room. And you can pick the upper ceiling. If I in common, I used the upper ceiling 500,000.
Okay.
And if they multiply 1,350.
And then about $600 million.
$75 million. Value of containers are
Obi.
Ayira no.
Obi, it means nasima name konkoye business as usual.
Yeah, because when they say intimate, and the container they say
oh, yeah,
40 foot
Obi, see, me ni amrea. Be business as usual.
Oh no.
I'm telling you, Obi. It's obey.
$675 million. Business as usual container.
Obi.
Hey.
And you see,
40 foot container.
And I make him send me my credit pay. You see, and I make
Ebusiafo. Me yam crash me. Me yam crash me. Container. Ajira. Hey. Na Ghana yi boko de. Container. Enye milk konku. Enye milo konku. When you cowbell our milk container 1,300 plus Ajira. Just like that. Minister Babu and Tiabe Dinkomo. Now, according to Minister, or say Omatimachin kofubi. One ekum. One edin story aba. First one oba bonting. Asemu okaye efahu eni.
So what happened is that during the transition, as part of stock taking, the MPP side of the transition indicated that they had about 3,000 containers stuck at the ports, and they were struggling to clear those containers. So that is it. At the transition, they gave us 3,000.
Okay.
Then on assumption of office, I visited the port myself to see for myself the extent of the situation. And when we went to the port, ECG indicated they contracted some private companies to clear their containers. And they had cleared about 500, there was about 2,500. So I felt a bit alarmed. 3,000 figure, 2,500 figure. So I said, look, let's set up a committee. Let the committee investigate, one, circumstances leading to those containers being held at the port. Because we don't even have to have 100 containers stuck at the port. Not even 100. Two, what we can do about the demurrage, which was accumulating and was about 1.5 billion cedis at the time. And then three, and more importantly, how can we clear these containers? And then four, any other related matters with respect to procurement. So there was a 3,000 figure, there was a 2,500 figure. And then when the committee started this work, officially, ECG gave them a figure of about 2,490 thereabout, so about 2,500. And so the committee itself decided that they would do a stock taking of the containers so that they can verify the veracity or otherwise of ECG's claims. Because bear in mind, there was at 3,000, 2,500, and now on paper about 2,490. When they did the actual stock taking, they submitted the report to me yesterday, and the committee chairman was categorical that about 1,300 containers could not be accounted for. On ECG's official document, those containers were supposed to be at the port, but when they went to the port to verify, more than 1,300 containers were missing and could not be accounted for. So that is what I have to say to you.
So this 1,328 is out of the 2,490, supposedly?
Exactly so. Exactly so.
Wow. Collins is just telling us that there was no way these containers could have left the port without the tacit approval of ECG. Do you agree with him?
Well, that's possible. So where are the containers? It's also possible that there's some collusion. In fact, what alarmed me and I got national security to intervene, we had two situations where ECG containers were intercepted by some police officials, and they're even investigating.
When was this?
This should be about a month ago.
Where?
This should be about a month ago.
Where were these
around
containers?
The Pong area. Around the Pong area.
Around the Pong area, okay.
The Pong area.
Okay.
And so when they intercepted them, about 10 or so of them, National Security got involved. And so National Security Coordinator, with my approval, thought that they should secure all the containers so that we don't have these challenges. Because sometimes, even not to doubt anybody, even when people claim that they are helping ECG clear the containers, you never know where they will end. But the record keeping is so bad, there's so much collusion. And so what we have to do now is to launch a criminal investigation into this matter.
Okay, it is here, I say, offer a jinapo, aloje a criminal investigation, edi aba a matter ya yeda ho aye kan mu. A wosi o kase wosi yetimi akwa akwaje mako 40. Oh, India ni bi ho.
I got this morning, and let me comment the national security operatives and the law enforcement agencies. The information I got this morning is that already they've traced about 40 of them to a particular terminal or warehouse in Pung, which belongs to an Indian man of extraction, and they've confiscated all the 40 containers, and they are moving them to a secured location. The man indicates that those containers were sold to him last year, and so that's a subject of a matter of investigation, and law enforcement agencies would ensure that the law takes its course. There are also reports of some other areas that they are picking intelligence. They will trace all of them, retrieve all the containers as soon as possible, and put the perpetrators before the courts of competent jurisdiction. Let me just sound that when we start prosecuting these people, let nobody come to say we are witch hunting. These are properties of the states. Every legitimate and legal means to ensure that we retrieve them and to hold all those behind these acts to account. And so we'll continue to work hard and ensure that we retrieve all these containers. Picked up this Indian in connection with this.
Okay, it is a bushia for mu containers no akodi Indian in chain. They say no mu kwa just somewhere baji mu container na two akodi Indian ni bin chain. A free a habo Indian ni bi woni fie sa hu an se container bi awuram fie ho. A container no kura taban. Enu tu bae. You see here cause a container 14 yes mo nyamu 40,300 something plus no. Mo nyamu 40 no dia akodi Indian ni ho a on India for no e dey press wo ho a enya asem ketwa. Say 2 ye, say memo ye, say fa asase say fa hin eto de mo ankasa mo Ghana ho. Ubetimi do comment egu comment section.